Hello, everyone. It's Paul Kegabine with the Garland County Library, and I'm back once again with one of the library's favorite guest programming partners, Mary Zunick, who is the Hot Springs Cultural Affairs Manager with the Hot Springs Area Cultural Alliance. And this is, believe it or not, episode 12 in the ongoing Gallery Walk Talk series. And in this, yeah, I know.
That's a lot of me.
In this series, and it's not all just about Gallery Walk. It's a series where Mary interviews and showcases the work of local artists. So we're celebrating all things local art. And recent guests have included watercolor artist Richard Stevens, pottery master Zach Dryden, and muralist Perrion Hurd. And if you missed those episodes, all of those programs are available as recordings on the library's Facebook and YouTube channels. But get this one to the end first, then you can go back and watch this. Tonight's tonight's guest is Amy Bramlett Turner, who, pardon me for the mouthful, is the Hot Springs Junior Academy and World Class High School Dance Troupe Director and Founder, as well as the 7 through 12 Arts Coordinator for the Hot Springs School District. So, impressive title. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, but Amy is the first performing arts artist on this show.
Yes, absolutely. We've had visual artists, we've had filmmakers, and now we will have, sell this program. It talks about Gallery Walk, of course, which is such a long-standing tradition in Hot Springs, dating back over 30 years. But Hot Springs really draws and celebrates all of the arts, and so we kind of expanded tonight a little bit. We'll talk about Gallery Walk and even a little bit about public art, but it's great to learn about Amy and all that she does within our community and bringing up the next generation of artists who
Mhm.
will live and work in Hot Springs and make Hot Springs a great place to be.
Absolutely. And also, she's a Hot Springs Trojan. So, shout out to my alumni school. So, it should be an informative and fun program we're about to have. And if you watching in the live audience have questions or comments, as always, don't hesitate to share. And also, if you're watching live, please be safe and stay warm tonight and tomorrow, overnight. So, that can be a lot of fun, but also be careful. So, Mary, I'm turning it over to you.
Excellent. And I need to share my screen, I think. There we go. Okay, Paul, there we are. Okay. I go, thank you all for your patience with me as you're watching me navigate technology. Okay, as I get started tonight, I wanted to just begin the program this evening by mentioning that February certainly is Black History Month. And as you're thinking about Black history here in Hot Springs, I just wanted to point out, Hot Springs has a fantastic collection of public art visible in our murals and sculptures all around Hot Springs, especially down along the Hot Springs Creek Greenway Trail. But this evening, I wanted to point out our murals that celebrate Black history here in Hot Springs. The mural on the bottom of the screen, I'll start with that one. That one's called Black Broadway. It's located on Malvern Avenue. It's adjacent to the new Henry Glover Parklet. That parklet is in honor of Hot Springs native Henry Glover, and there's some signage there, but they'll be even adding some more. The city and the Hot Springs Area Cultural Alliance certainly partnered with that with last year in the creation of the mural and park. So that mural artist, his name is Giuseppe Persavati or Pepe Gaca. There's several of his murals around town. On the top right of your screen, that is Hot Springs' newest mural, and that is honoring Harriet Tubman and her life and contribution to American culture, and what a incredibly brave woman she was. So I encourage you to check that out. It's on the corner of Central and Market in Hot Springs. And then the other mural that you see up there, it celebrates three incredibly impactful individuals from Hot Springs. Those images are the physician Edith Irby Jones, musician John Puckett, and then on the far right you see Mamie Phipps Clark. So, and that is on the side of Grand and Malvern, kind of on the side of 501 Prime. So I encourage you to go out this month or any time and check out those murals and the many other murals. These, of course, celebrating Black history, but the murals as well as all of the public art. You can, if you go to the hotspringsarts.org website, you can see the links there and find out about everything from the art collection in the convention center to the city's public art collection. And of course, there's information about Art Moves, the temporary art exhibit down along the Hot Springs Creek Greenway Trail. So now we'll move on to, this event, this program is called Gallery Walk Talk. So we'll move on now and talk about our special Valentine's edition of Gallery Walk, which will take place on February 4th, the first Friday of this month, and every single month for, I think, 32 years now. We have celebrated Gallery Walk in Hot Springs. And what that means is the galleries and several other businesses as well stay open late. The galleries usually have new exhibits or a featured artist. Many times the featured artists are even there for Gallery Walk. Some have food and beverage, little snacks, and so you can go in and enjoy meeting the artist and seeing the newest exhibits that are opening for the month. But and I just encourage you too, Valentine's Day is coming up, so if you need something special for your sweetheart, or what better way to get a sweetheart than to purchase some art. So please, when you're thinking of what would make a good gift for Valentine's Day or any day, celebrate our local galleries and our local artists with purchasing art. So for Gallery Walk, I'll just kind of walk through some of the different galleries and let you know what you might expect for if you pop in on Gallery Walk on Friday evening. If you go Esthers Gallery and Gifts, that's our newest gallery. Not Esthers. We're at the warehouse right now. It's next door to Esthers, the same owner. Jefer Sims does an awesome job there. The warehouse, it's kind of like an art festival in one spot. The first Friday of every month, you have some music, some good food, some refreshment, and artists. Several different artists, everything from jewelry to painting, sculpture. So stop by the warehouse. Usually Dean Agus and his band are playing, so you get to enjoy some good music. And then right around the corner is Esthers Gallery and Gifts. Now, several different artists are represented there. You can see a couple here in this image, in the image on the screen. That's Wayne Summerhill, local artist and sculptor Wayne Summerhill. He has his metal sculpture are in Esthers represents Wayne Summerhill, and then you'll see Don Watson's work there in the background. But like I said, several local artists represented there at Esthers. On around the corner on Central Avenue, you have Justice Gallery. That's 827 Central Avenue. And Justice Gallery, they have in their exhibit that's opening for February, the couple of the featured artists. One is Stephen Harlan. I'm sorry, whoops, wrong gallery. I looked on my wrong notes there. Let's see. Justice Gallery is Dennis McCann. I knew that. Dennis McCann is absolutely incredible. His very precise pastel work. That's the top image that's represented there. And of course, our very own Linda Palmer is the bottom image represented there. She works with pastel pencil and just incredible artists there at Justice Fine Art Gallery. And of course, the gallery owner, Dolores Justice, her work can be found there as well as of course, Jean Sparling, Sandra Sell, Tony Saldino, and Elizabeth Weber, Robin Horn, just an incredible artist represented there by Dolores Justice at Justice Fine Art Gallery at 827 Central Avenue. On down the street, we get to Legacy, and Legacy is where you will find Stephen Harlan's work. He is known for his colorful and dramatic nautical themes there, and you can see one of his pieces represented on the screen. He creates his work digitally, one pixel at a time, and transfers his art onto both canvas and aluminum. So that just seems to glow. Beautiful work by Stephen Harlan at 802 Central Avenue. Then just on down Central Avenue, you'll come to All Things Arkansas. All Things Arkansas, they have food, but they have several different artists represented there, pottery and sculpture, as well, of course, as crystals and paintings. So, and the nice thing about All Things Arkansas is you also get to hear some live music by Hot Springs artist Ben Carey. He performs live there at All Things Arkansas for Gallery Walk each month. And then Gallery Central is on down. That's on the first floor of the Waters Hotel. You can find pieces by James Hayes, Janice Polychron, just several different artists. And at Gallery Central, you'll also find many gift items. And then Dryden Pottery. Dryden Pottery is on up Whittington Avenue for over 75 years. Artists, sculptors, pottery have been creating these vibrant colors of pottery, and you can stop by and see Zach Dryden, the artist there at Dryden Pottery. And there are other galleries that they may not be open for gallery walk, but you can certainly stop by. American Art Gallery, located on Central Avenue, Artist Workshop Gallery, and then on up Whittington Avenue, you have Riley Art Glass, Fox Pass Pottery. So even though some of them might not be open for gallery walk, they are certainly there for you to stop by other times and check out what they have and look at these beautiful Dryden pottery pieces here. Those would certainly make a good Valentine present for your sweetie. So let's see. I think that was the end of my gallery walk slides, and now I'm going to jump back over and stop sharing my screen, and Paul will, and then Amy can join us. There's Amy Bramlett Turner. Oh, I could have you can just sit there and kind of blush while I read your bio, because as I introduce you, sorry, I could have wound up to that before So Amy Bramlett received her early training from Andrea Pekowski and Edmund Cooper. She completed her BFA in ballet and modern dance as a Norton Fine Arts Scholar at Texas Christian University, and her Master's of Arts in Dance Education at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. Amy has been the director for Hot Springs School's 7 through 12 dance program since 2014. She has had the opportunity to perform and study all over the world with several international choreographers and dancers on tour with Princess Cruises and Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. She has been a guest artist with North Arkansas Dance Theater and Hot Springs Children's Dance Theater, and was the resident choreographer and principal dancer for the Muses Creative Artistry Project for 2014 through 2018. She's a four-time Oaklawn Foundation Scholar, was nominated for the 2015 Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce Young Professional of the Year, awarded the Avant-Garde Honoree by Akansa Arts Festival in 2015. She earned the title of 2019 Teacher of the Year for Hot Springs World Class High School, and was nominated for the 2019 Greater Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce Woman of the Year. She's now president of the Arkansas Dance Network, where she helped establish the first Arkansas High School Dance Festival, Arkansas Middle School Festival, and Dance Teacher Professional Development. Amy is now the 7 through 12 Arts Coordinator for Hot Springs School District and directs the Hot Springs Dance Troupe, the student company that trains and fundraises to perform in Europe through the Stars of Tomorrow International Tour. Amy truly believes movement has the power to create change and works tirelessly to use dance education to build community and student organization and community partnerships within the state of Arkansas. And, this is a very impressive bio, but I know there's things that you didn't even put on there.
I don't know. Well, it's really long,
It is long, but it's impressive, but there's even more accolades. But you know what? The best thing about Amy Bramlett is you make a difference in people's lives. You do. And I could talk about all of your accolades and everybody that recognizes you for the incredible work that you do, but you are from Hot Springs. And so before you start in your program, and you may include some of this in your program, so if you do, just tell me you'll answer later. So how did you go from Amy Bramlett graduating from, taking a little bit of dance class? How old were you when you started taking dance, and how did you get to where you are?
Oh, wow. So I was actually 8 years old. My sister, I used to put on little shows at home, every Thanksgiving and Christmas. I'd do a little show, and I don't think I ever really saw dance. We weren't a family that went to see, ballets or anything. And so I would put on our own shows, and I don't really know what I was doing, but I was feeling it. And my sister told my mom, like, you need to put her in dance class. And so I started with Miss Andrea when I was 8 years old, and then took from her until she closed her studio. And then, and that's where I met Mr. Eddie. And so we go way, way back. And then I did competitions and shows just to perform. And I started taking classes and going with him wherever he taught, in Little Rock and several different studios. Oh, my lights. Sorry. Hold on. My lights because I need to move. So sorry. And so, yeah. And then I applied to TCU because that's where Mr. Eddie went, and it was kind of a legacy moment. So I got accepted as a ballet and a modern major because those are different. And I actually got the Norton Fine Arts Scholarship when I was a sophomore year. In my sophomore year, I was an alternate my freshman year. And that was the scholarship he had. And then now my student is there at TCU with the same scholarship. So it's like my life is very full circle. I love that I teach at Hot Springs School District, where I was once a student. And some of my teachers are still around. And so it's a very, very full circle, very fulfilling and rewarding life. So I'm very blessed, very, very blessed. So yeah. And then after college, I went and performed because that's what you do. And I found myself, I needed surgery on my foot because I had some nerve damage. And it was like all in God's plan because it was just time for me to come home. They offered me the job here at Hot Springs to take over the 712 program and really, have a vision and go for it. So like the rest, I've been here for 8 years. And so they just, I don't know, they just keep letting me do my thing. And so I'm very blessed. So.
Okay, now, why is it important to have dance in high school or in school? Why is that important? I mean, you have all the other sports, but tell me why, what's your argument for always funding and supporting dance in school?
Well, what athletics does for students and what the arts do for students, I think it's the best of both worlds in dance, because dance is a very athletic form. We condition, we strengthen. It's about strengthening and giving students the tools to have injury prevention, the knowledge about their body acceptance. So it's really the best of both worlds. I really try to give all of my students a foundation in dance technique, so that they can become not only athletes but artists, that they have a voice, and to instill that in them. So we go from everything from like body positivity. There's a National Love Your Body Week that we participate in every year. And it's like we put Post-its all over each other about what we love about each other. And then they put them in their journals and spread them out so that they'll see them a different day, when they need to pick me up. So like those kind of like body positivity things that every body body can dance, sometimes sometimes students get left out. Not everybody can be the star football player or basketball player or volleyball player, but every body can dance. And so I think it's a really powerful program where you have the opportunity to include everyone. I really try to create a safe environment, and all of, now that as being arts coordinator, all of the arts teachers here, us artists, teaching artists are so, just so committed to creating a safe environment where students can build that self-confidence, develop their technique in whatever genre of art it is, and then really just build a foundation where they can find leadership skills, where they can connect to people that maybe they wouldn't normally talk to or be friends with, define their artistic voice, and then just cultivate those relationships between each other, between student and teacher, and even between students of various ages. So I love that I get to teach from 7th, 8th grade all the way up to 12th grade, because I get to be a big part of their journey if they so, want to be, if they choose. But yeah, so it's just all about fostering that appreciation for the self, for the art form, and for each other, so I could go on and on.
Well, no, and something that I think that's incredibly important about the program is that, all students don't have the capacity to be enrolled in private dance classes.
Oh, absolutely. That's a whole other thing, we're one of 8 school districts in the whole state of Arkansas that offer dance. We have orchestra too, which is unheard of a lot in public schools, because those are very selective things. If your family doesn't have the means to provide that opportunity for you, then you would have no idea about those experiences, that level of technique or anything like that. So absolutely, our program, I run it like the kids, they pay $25 for their dance shirt. And, we have payment plans, or we find sponsors for kids that can't, they're not in a position to afford that. And they get to wear these costumes and, wear real ballet shoes and real tap shoes, because I think that's part of the pride that goes along with it. So if they didn't have, a beautiful studio to dance in, or beautiful costumes to look forward to put on, I think that's a really important piece, that not everybody, is in a position to put their kids in dance, or, or learn, or, string the instrument or anything like that. So we are definitely so very blessed and proud to have that offered at Hot Springs.
And I just have to say kudos to Hot Springs School District for doing that, for supporting opportunities or diverse opportunities for their students. Not, as you said, not all school districts embrace that. So we should be very proud here in Hot Springs that Hot Springs does. So, okay, well, I am going to turn it over to you, because I know you put together a fantastic presentation, and I'll be writing down my questions for after. And then afterward, also for the people who are watching from home, that are watching live, there'll be a time at the end where if you have any questions for Amy, you can ask Amy. So, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to share. Do I just click on it? I don't know. Yeah, so fancy. Okay. So, or let's do this. Is that good?
Were you wanting to show the slideshow or the video?
Oh, let's do the slideshow.
Okay, it's ready.
Okay. So should I stay here?
If you're on the tab with the slideshow, you can just proceed, hit enter or the arrow key, and we'll be able to hear you still.
Okay, great. So yeah, so these are all, like Mary said, I am the 712 arts coordinator for Hot Springs School District. So these are all the different arts that we offer for our students, including audio and visual. And so that's actually, they get a CTE credit, which is a career technology credit, and it's not an actual art credit, but we have taken them in because we work so closely together. So we'd love to start our day with this quote: to live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. And that's something that us arts teachers, we decided to include in a fine arts, whenever we take our fine arts on tour or to speak about it. This is really at the root of what we want, what we all want to teach. So a lot of times in schools, we're pressing the testing and the importance of, upping that ACT score, or, getting all A's, or all, high, having a high, being high. And of course, those are all important things. But we want to lose that fear of being wrong, and we want to embrace that creativity. And so it's just a different kind of knowledge, a different kind of experience for our students. So first, we have our Hot Springs World Class High School Band. There's a couple images there that you can see our kids in action. They were actually part of that mural that Mary was talking about, on Black Broadway. I think some of them inspired some of the characters in that artwork. So our band it's really growing. We offer it from 6th grade on up to 12th grade, and they work really hard to establish that strong musical foundation, but also take time to perform in the community. And really, I mean, if you know our band directors, they are just cool. Like, they just want to foster a lifetime of love of music. So they are just awesome. This is our junior academy band, which is 7th and 8th grade. And that is our own Miss Leah LaFollette there. She's that band director, and she was just recently on Arkansas PBS, and they're like making her a doll. She's a very big deal. Like, she is so cool. You want to be her friend. But the kids just love her, and they gravitate to her because she has this wonderful, like, eclectic energy, and she's so dedicated to our kids. So that's her and her program. And this is all just a list of all the instruments you can study. If the students sign up for band. We do have 6th grade band offered at all of our elementary schools, because we have 4 within the district. Then we have our 7th and 8th grade band. And then, of course, our 9th through 12th grade band is the, for the varsity games and all of that. So moving on, this is our Hot Springs 712 Orchestra program. So Mr. Marcellus Weatherspoon runs this program, and he teaches all 712 orchestra students. And of course, if you have been around, I'm so sorry. So sorry. If you've been around in the NAACP prayer breakfast, or any work with like the Martin Luther King events that have happened, you've probably seen Mr. Weatherspoon around. He is their current president, so he's very active in the community and very involved with the NAACP, as well as kind of entwining our string students. So there is a list of all the things that we offer if the kids choose to take orchestra. I know recently we just had Miss Sophie Sly. She's one of our graduates, and one of his past students who she was in Miss Arkansas, and like in the top 10, I believe. So she's a violinist and just beautiful. So she's just one of the many students he's had. And then we have our visual arts program. So we are lucky enough, we have 4 different visual arts teachers within 712, and they start with our Hot Springs Junior Academy art, and they can take art appreciation. And then in high school, they can go in and take art 1 through 3. And then there's a 2D and 3D art class, and we also offer an AP art class. They are very involved in our community. You can see some of the students got to go to Dryden Pottery or Potter's Clay, and they just do lots of fun stuff. Like, if you have seen, they go to nursing homes and paint the windows when we couldn't do a lot with with COVID happening in the last year. And so that was one thing that they could do from the outside, but still bring art and bring joy. So they're just so cool. This is just a breakdown of our visual arts when it gets into more of the high school level. So they have an emphasis on skill building, technique, creative thinking, and the presentation of artworks. And just talking to our teachers, they are very interested in the process and not necessarily the product, which is really that's so important, because so many kids, they think if they can't do this, if they can't produce this like this person, or that like another person, they start to really judge themselves and they limit themselves. So being process oriented, I think that's a really important part of our arts programs. Here's some more pictures. We do have a beautiful Trojan Art Club. And I believe when you were talking about the gallery walk, Mary, I think that they have their work shown. They're going to have their work for sale or on display the next 2 gallery walks. So not this month, but I think March 4th and then April 1st. And I believe that their work is shown at the Artist Workshop Gallery on Central, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Yep. So we just have this, just is another one of our students. Miss Tipton is in charge of our art club, and she teaches our AP art and our our secondary levels of art, and she does a great job. They were involved in that Harriet mural that you were just speaking about, and they do the chalk walk and the art springs during Arts in the Park. So they're really wonderful. Like, I love seeing our artists just out in the community, because our community is so arts involved. I'm so happy that our kids are getting involved and seeing that they can use art to connect to different people. This is our world-class high school choir program. So our choral program, it's all about the voice. They offer musical opportunities for any student who's looking to learn those foundational skills. They teach obviously to sing, to read music, develop an appreciation of different song rep, those listening skills that you have to have, and just get that whole experience. So I know one of the pictures, they've performed with Foreigner, which was like a big highlight. That was obviously pre-COVID, but they are doing lots of fun things. We also offer a junior academy choir. So we have that for 7th through 9th grade, and then the high school choir is 10th through 12th. So they go to all region, and they do their choral performance assessments and solo and ensemble. We also have piano classes. I'm not sure if that was included, but we do have piano classes available for students who want to take piano. All right, so then that brings us to our theater program. Miss Caitlin Potts runs this program now, and she has done a fabulous job continuing the passion, because I know like so many artists, it was really a hard time to continue your work, especially during COVID, and not being able to perform for people. And so she has done a really fabulous job of giving kids experiences despite such chaos. So our theater program, they are really dedicated to showing the student diversity, dedication, and unity. We have a lot of different classes that we kind of rotate through depending on the year. There's things like stagecraft and acting. So let me get to that slide. Yeah, here we go. So we have theater appreciation, of course, theater 1 through 4 for our thespians. And then there's things like playwriting. So just this last fall, the dance program produced a hot cocoa nutty nutcracker. And it was the first time, and it was quite fabulous, if I don't say so myself. The kids were amazing, and we needed some help with the story, because we realized that not everybody knows the story of the Nutcracker. So I asked Miss Potts if she could have an assignment that one of her playwriting classes, that they write the narrative for in between scenes where we needed a little bit of help explaining that plot. So they were able to do that, and it's just when they see that their work in class is actually becoming part of a show, and it turns into a collaboration and not just an assignment. So it's really, really great connections through our arts programs like that. We also offer theatrical makeup and technical theater, which goes into our AV stuff. So we'll kind of touch on that in a minute. We have an International Thespian Society, and they go to the Arkansas State Festival every year, as well as producing a few productions every year. Right now, we are working on Percy Jackson, the musical, The Lightning Thief. So we are so excited about that. I actually just came, well, I'm still at this rehearsal. That's why you see my studio in the background because, every night is rehearsal night. So okay, and so then now I get to talk about my true love. This is my beautiful dance program. I direct this program with Miss Alexis Pritch. She teaches all the 7th and 8th grade classes, and then I teach 8th grade advanced dance, and then dance 1 through 4 for 9th through 12th graders. And then we also offer the Hot Springs Dance Troupe is an audition only student company, and they're the ones you see usually around the community. And then we also offer IB Dance, which is an international baccalaureate course for dance. And so that's where the students, they have to develop 2 performance works and then 2 composition works. So they have to produce 2 different sets of choreography and then write a pretty lengthy paper about comparing a traditional art form, dance form that they are familiar with, and then a dance form that they were unfamiliar with. And so they're getting that comparing, contrasting. If you see, I have our Facebook and Instagram, so please follow us because the journey of these kids is just, it's really quite amazing to see them grow and develop. We offer the genres they study in class. We focus on jazz, ballet, and modern. We do throw in tap and clog when and if we can. And then choreography is a huge component. They work in group choreography, and like I just said before, it's all about the process of us creating the art. So they are part of the process of creating all of the dances that we perform. And then as they get older through dance 2, 3, and 4, then they create choreography maybe in a smaller group or in a duet. And then in dance 3, 4, they are assigned to create choreography on their own, and they are not allowed to be in their dance. So it's really amazing. They cast each other, and it's amazing to see that they create their work based off an inspiration. And I give them a very specific inspiration, but I still let them have choice. So this year, our inspiration is history in motion. So their assignment is to choose a historical event or person and research them, and they have to tell me all the things, the geography, the location, the politics at the time, just all of the details of the time and about that person. And then that's where they get their inspiration for the movement motifs, the energy, the effort qualities, the spatial design, the music, the costuming, the lighting, all of that. So they get to make all those choices. And so that's more at the dance 3, 4 level and the IB dance level. We do produce 2 formal performances a year, and then we try really hard to push our flash mobs out there because we just love to dance in the community. Like the kids love going downtown and dancing at Arts in the Park, or we've done our thriller flash mobs at Magic Springs. So I really try to instill a want to be part of the community in all of the students. So if they see that we are going out and using our craft, using our art form to connect to the community at large, then hopefully that's something that they'll continue to do after they leave high school. And then, of course, we have our student choreography showcase, and our dance troupe performs all over the place, all over the community, and we're working to raise our last couple thousand to go to Europe. And so we were supposed to go last summer, but we're planning to go this summer. So we leave in June. And there's those beautiful dance troupe members there. So that's this year's. They span from 8th grade to 12th grade. So quite the variety of experience levels, age, exposure. So It's really quite, I think their diversity is really quite beautiful. And then our last program is our audio and visual program. So here we have our beautiful Lydia. She is a junior this year, and she has been with us since 7th grade. She asked if she could learn how to do the light board when she was a 7th grader, and we said, sure, yeah, we need someone to help us with lights. And so we started working with her, and as several other students then saw that they saw her doing it, and so now we actually have a full program now. So we have fundamentals of AV, tech and film, intermediate, and advanced, and that's taught by Mr. Michael Sandlin, and he's our AV guy for the district. So if you ever see, whenever there's like technology going on, you will see him because he is in charge of all the things. He teaches all of his kids about the video and audio, the lighting for our productions, and he's actually double talented because he's also an assistant band director. And this year with The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical we're doing, he is directing the music. So he is working with students to actually play our music for the musical live, which has not been done before in the Hot Springs School District. So that is a huge taking on. It's a huge task. And so we're very glad to have his very multi-talented self because our kids just learn so much from him, and they see how being knowledgeable about various art forms and technology is really a very rare and useful skill set. Then here's my shameless plug. This is our season for the spring. So if you are interested in seeing our choir, they are actually performing February 15th, and all of these things will take place at the Hot Springs Junior Academy, the new Joyce L. Littleton Craft Auditorium. We dedicated this auditorium to Miss Craft because she was a former superintendent who established the magnet program, and it believes so much in the arts. So she was one of the most passionate people you'll meet. And so all of these things will take place in the Craft Auditorium. I think with the exception of that arts night, I think that's a big district. That's a whole district night. And that usually takes place at, I think we call it Uptown Hot Springs now, at the old mall. So, but everything else will be at the Craft Auditorium, and it's brand new. We are so blessed. Our district has really invested in the auditorium space. It's beautiful. It seats 1,000 people. And it's part of our arts wing. So now we also have an arts wing behind the stage where theater, band, choir, dance, we're all together. And so it's really it's very telling of our district being able to recognize that the arts are so interrelated and we can collaborate to produce wonderful things. And so you can see our student choreography showcase, History in Motion, that I was speaking about. That'll be March 3rd. Then we'll have our Timeless Dance Concert, and that's our full dance program with all 150 kids in it. That'll be April 7th. And then our 6-12 band and orchestra concert will be April 21st. So that's all 6 through 12 band and orchestra kids. And then the Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical, that is our big collaboration. And that we put very strategically the very first weekend of, I believe, what's to be Arts in the Park. So we just wanted to be part of the community and, have a show during that so we can celebrate the arts, downtown and all over Hot Springs and in the school. Then we have a couple other arts recognition nights, and so that's what you see there. And to wrap up the year, our Hot Springs Junior Academy and High School Choir concert is May 10th. So that's, like, in short, that's our shameless plugs for our upcoming season. So yeah, okay, I don't know. Let's see. Mary, I have a couple of things we can ask. You said you might have questions, or I also have an example.
Videos? Would you share some videos? Yes, please. Let us see your dancers.
Okay. I mean, the pictures are beautiful, but
tonight, a country emerging.
There we go.
Tests of pain.
Breaking news
Every 10 seconds, a reported child
After the killing of George Floyd.
Every 10 seconds.
Of the mother and son.
If nobody
killed
reports
last
it, we're not going to know about it.
And it's an exhaustion that should not be seen as an exaggeration. It's an exhaustion that should be
It's
seen.
all about awareness and
But long before then came the fight for women's suffrage, which granted American women the right to vote in 1919. That movement, led by Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, paved the way for the second wave of feminism in the 60s and 70s.
Hotline show nearly 74,000 reports were made involving more than 100,000 children.
Tonight, we were intrigued by this story because there are students at several universities that are demanding action.
We're just here to raise awareness, to get the idea and thought in kids' brains, and make them aware of their surroundings, make them aware of their friends, with building safety.
The focus was on warning signs and how to report abuse.
Warning signs, what does this look like? Because not all abuse is physical.
Abuse can be verbal,
Today, nearly
emotional, and
100 students gathered
psychological.
inside this building to share their stories
About this week, the Earth Peterson, President John F. Kennedy attacked.
a gathering that turned silent with shattered windows and inflicted harm. What is happening?
Mandated reporters like teachers, nurses, and coaches. This month, the hope is that everyone will use their voice.
Several studies show a possible association between perceived discrimination, the byproduct of racism that dates back centuries, from slavery to Jim Crow segregation. It's a history of oppression that still impacts Black communities today.
To make sure the victim doesn't feel alone.
It's justified, and that there is a real and a true understanding of
about
why
awareness
it's there.
and prevention.
We're quarantined. 26 countries are covered under the new travel ban, though the president has exempted Ireland and the UK, even though a UK digesting the president's lifetime announcement.
Claire says she never reported the alleged incident because she didn't think she was believed. Last week, hundreds of students were stressed. What does that mean? Around this surgery,
Our process actually relies
there's still hope.
Moving forward, I think we can continue to tell the truth, and hopefully America looks at itself and doesn't like what it sees.
That's incredible.
Thank you. Well, we call that the new normal. And so that is what we performed virtually at the NAAC prayer breakfast. And then we did it for the Martin Luther King like post celebration after the parade. And then we'll be doing it at the Usuri Project, their event on February 19th. And then there's a couple school Black history things that we're going to be performing it at. But really, I am a lover of social justice artwork, and a lot of people are scared to do it in the classroom. But I feel like it's been my experience and my research that students need a voice, and well, they're going to have a voice whether they should or whether some people think they should or not. So my thought is, why not educate them on how to talk to each other, how to voice their opinions in an academic, artistic, and nonviolent way? Because when they have those kind of tools, I really think that's how we prevent violence, how we prevent conflict. It's a kind of conflict resolution. So this dance specifically, I asked them to reflect on the last 2 years, and I asked them to do a little bit of research about what finding news articles that really touched them, that really stopped them in their shoes. And we got into this conversation about how this new normal is almost like a numbing feeling. Well, almost like there's this chaos and there's this exhaustion of hearing these news stories and almost being numb to it because it's becoming so normal to hear about closings or shootings or travel bans and, or abusive situations or, just these violent things, these negative things happening, the chaos in the world. So they researched and they chose their newscast broadcast, and we downloaded and pieced it together and compiled it over that music by Zach Kimsey. Because I really just wanted to bring awareness of this perspective that, they're tired of hearing it and they want the world to change. But, where does that start? And so, they have so much to say and I just facilitate it. So after we do that, they took the news broadcast and like their specific one, and they created a movement, what we call a movement motif. And so they create a shape. So one of them was this. So you probably saw this. They were walking around, you saw that a lot of different ways within the movement, and then one of them was like maybe that deep contraction where they're feeling that like sense of loss, that sense of just kind of struggle. And so they create these movement motifs, and I just help them facilitate, and we create these movement phrases. And then those are the puzzle pieces of making a dance, because, making a dance is so much like writing an essay, like, creating anything. I think you have this main idea and you have to define the device and then play with that device to create something that really has a strong message, a meaningful message. So they get that experience as a whole. And then when they do their student choreography projects, they're in charge. And so they each have something very strong to say about all kinds of things. And when I first did this, I thought that there was going to be like a lot of bullying, a lot of like negative body images, because that's what you think of when you think of teenagers, especially females. And so that was not the case. They want to talk about the real world, and sometimes it's really sensitive issues. But I've never had an argument or, they might disagree, but it's like, okay, I might not agree with you, but I'm in your dance. And so I have to portray this, and I have to learn this, and I have to make your vision come true. So it's a whole other level of accepting other people's viewpoints. And it's just really beautiful. So, yeah.
And what great practice. I mean, accepting each viewpoints. I mean,
Mhm.
I just applaud you for not only teaching them to dance, but teaching them to express how they feel and to interpret the world and work through that. I mean, being a teenager is filled with so much angst. It was when I was a teenager, and that's been a minute. I mean,
Right.
and they have the last 2 years have been so full of change and angst. Oh, yeah, get the lights back on.
Sorry.
So to give them these tools that, you could have easily been a very good dance teacher and just brought everybody in and basics and done something very, very traditional. That's all anybody expects.
Yeah,
But
that was really my plan at the beginning. I'm like, I'll teach pliés and tendus. Like, I can do that. That's my thing. I can do that. And then I don't know when it shifted because I guess you just get to know them as people, as human beings, and you realize that each one of them come with their own story and their own issues. And it's like I wanted to give them an outlet, a place and the tools to be able to express themselves in a academic, artistic, and nonviolent way. And so I feel like it wasn't on purpose. Like I did none of this on purpose. Now it's very intentional, but at the beginning it was not. I was like, I'm going to teach you pliés and tendus and we'll be cute and we'll have fun. And they didn't it's almost like they're the ones that told me. They were like, no, we want to make a statement. Like we want to do things that support, breast cancer awareness. And we want to do things that, support our viewpoints or, talk about like really sensitive things. And it's like, it's gotten more and more as we go. And so they look forward to it though. Like I think the 7th and 8th graders and 9th graders, they see it and they see the student choreography that the juniors and seniors are doing. And then they're like, oh, I have a thought. Like, and then it starts cooking. And so it's like they know what their dance is going to be like in 2 years. Like, they're like, I already know it's already there. I'm like, okay.
That is wonderful. And thank you so much for not only, having performances where the parents can come or if people come to the school, but for actually bringing it out into the community. I mean, I am so grateful that you and the other instructors, Hot Springs, is just such a great partner for that. Whether it's the flash mob at Art Springs or all of the art students that come down and take part in sidewalk chalk competition or all of the other, I mean, this year the art club's going to be doing face painting. I mean, to raise.
Told me, yes.
So just finding ways so the community can be a part of knowing what's happening at the school and know how to support. And speaking of that, I'm going to ask you here to make a plug. So okay. I happen to know that, tell us about the tour that you, the troupe goes. Tell me about it.
So we were invited. It was back in 2015 when I just established the dance troupe. I was like, okay, I have this group of passionate girls. We're going to do this thing. And they're going to be specialized and they're going to train. Like they want it. And I want to foster that. So, we just performed and we went to Little Rock and we did this little, this dance competition that was a fundraiser for the Dreamland Ballroom. And I posted a video, and the director of a program called Stars of Tomorrow International, she messaged me and was like, your girls are so polished and like professional and they're just precious. Like bring them on tour. And I said, oh my gosh, no. Like, because that was my second year. And I said, oh, I can't do, like, I don't think we're ready for that. I can't do that. Like, we don't have funding and like these kids have never, I took them to Little Rock and that was a thing. Like they'd never been on planes. So, or left the state. So, and I knew her because she hired me as a dancer, as a professional when I was like 19. And so she took me to Europe when I was 19 to perform in this Young Ton Summer Stars of Tomorrow tour. And so, of course, as a 19-year-old, you're like, I'm going to get paid to dance. Yeah. Oh, heck yeah, I'm going. And so I was so blessed for that opportunity. And then she saw the girls and was just like, no, work with them, teach them, train them, do all the fundraisers you have to, but please make it happen. And so I went to my administration and they were like, sure, go ahead. And I was like, okay. So I had parent meeting and then that was it. So we started and I've been selling cookie dough and popcorn and t-shirts ever since. So I was able to take 13 girls, 11 dancers to Europe in 2018. We raised $50,000 and we trained endlessly because we are only the third public school program to ever be invited in its history. So that says a lot because the other programs that go are pre-professional level. I went when I was in college, so these are companies and private studios that train 40, 50 hours a week. Like they're homeschooled because they dance so much. And so when we went the first time in 2018, one of my girls came to me and said, Miss B, we're different. And I said, yes, baby, I know. But why do you say that? And she said, well, our dances say something. I said, they do. And she goes, and we're all different colors. And I said, yes, baby, we are. So I said, so what do you think about that? She's like, well, I think that's what makes us unique and stronger. I think that's what makes our dances more powerful. And I said, I absolutely agree. So they just fell in love with the idea of this, of our dance troupe coming. And so they invited us again. So I'm ready for round 2. We were supposed to go in 2021, but of course COVID pushed everything. And so we are praying that everything kind of subsides by June. We are planning to go at the end of June. And so we are just a couple thousand short, not a lot in the long run, but it's still a couple thousand. So we're just hoping that we can raise. Right now we have a raffle. So if you go, I can send the link. I didn't send you the link, but I can. I have a link where you can buy raffle tickets and they're $5 each and you could win a $250 Visa card. And so that will go directly toward our girls that are training and fundraising to go to Europe. We'll also be working in Oaklawn. We work in the infield at Oaklawn Racetrack and we run the bouncy houses and we ironically do the face painting, even though we're dancers. But they do a pretty good job. They've gotten pretty good at it. And so if you see us there, we take donations. Everything's free, but we take donations and it all goes towards the dancers. So those are our 2 biggest fundraisers for the spring. Of course, our shows, whatever the ticket money and the concessions and all of that we make at the shows goes towards the dance program. So that's not specifically the troupe. I try to keep those 2 kind of separate so that we make sure both the program and the troupe are both supported, in their own way. So
that's cool. Well, and send me the link too, because I'll share that on my social media and because $2,000 really, I know we're
a few thousand. I'm like, it's so much, but so little. It's okay. And on the tour, yes. And on the tour, we do our movement. So you see things it's great when you go, you see things that you send dancers and they learn other choreography and they get to do it with a million other dancers. But this is really specific that they're one of 4 companies and we do our dances and we perform 10 times in 12 days. We tour all of Austria, a little bit into Germany, and they get to go to Venice. And then there's cultural exchanges. So they'll do like this giant flash mob with some Austrian kids, because they go to school year round, some of the schools. And so they get to go in the schools, and they, not a lot of the Austrian kids speak English, and we don't speak German. So it's so amazing to see that kind of collaboration happen. And then there's like master classes. So it's really an exhausting trip, but it's amazing to see our kids from Hot Springs, Arkansas, dancing on stage with these professional, pre-professional level people in Austria. Like, that's a once in a lifetime experience that it's not only about that product, but also about that process of getting them there. So it's really amazing. I didn't know that I was going to be signing up to take them to Europe take a new group to Europe every couple years, but I think I might have that in my future. So there are worse things.
And with the Sister City program too, international travel, learning that you can find something in common with people you go to school with, but that true experience of connecting with people who are so externally different from you, to see that you have so much in common. I just have to think that translates home as well.
Absolutely.
I think we may have questions from others. Paul, are there some questions that people, I've asked Amy questions and
Well, I just want to say that was incredible, and makes me proud to have gone to Hot Springs.
Oh, that's good. Go Trojans.
We had a nice compliment from Marianne, who said excellent teachers. So, and a question from Liz. Amy said something in the beginning that caught my attention. I believe it was movement creates change. Is that correct? And can she talk a little more about that?
It's actually movement has the power to create change. So yes, I love that quote. I have it on a shirt, but I need more. I think we need to make that a thing, that everyone should have that shirt. I really, it kind of goes in with that student choreography ideal and the social justice work that we do. It's the idea that this movement, whether you're doing it or seeing it, it has the power to create a change in maybe yourself or maybe in others. So maybe that's a change in perspective. Maybe that's just an idea that if there's a dance about, a young woman struggling, or a young woman fighting, and maybe you hear bombs in the background with the music, or maybe a poem that is being read, and it's, about losing a child, so whatever that might be about, that the audience member can see and relate to that performer, to that dancer, and maybe have a feeling that I'm not the only one that has experienced this, or maybe I've never thought of that perspective. So it's really, it could be, it's so powerful that you could use it for anything. And that's really what I love about our student choreography units, because every year I kind of change it up. The first year we did poetry in motion. So I brought in a great local poet, Kai Coggin, and she broke down poetry into its devices, and we kind of translated that to choreographic devices. And it's okay, how can you create intentional movement that is going to be meaningful, that is going to be inspired by this poem? And then the next year I brought in Anthony Tidwell from Cutwell for Kids, and he did the same thing with visual art. And so he breaks down the different devices of visual art, like balance and color and shape and all of those things. And we have those same things in choreography. And so it kind of translates over a little bit. And then then we went to Crystal Bridges, and they got to see that, all the art, the beautiful visual art that is up there. And they were inspired to create their own dance from that. And so this year it's history. So it's a little bit different, but I brought in our gifted and talented coordinator, Miss Laura West, and she did like this giant world timeline and just like touched on like all the things that she could. And there's these dances, they're creating them right now. And our student choreography showcase will be March 3rd at the Craft Auditorium here at the Junior Academy. And I have one about like this little girl was abandoned, or I guess I don't maybe abandoned from the bombings, after like during World War II. And so she has this little beat up teddy bear that she's dancing with. And it's like, these kids are brilliant. Like the kid, like that's a junior dancer came up with that. And she has this beautiful vision and this really specific music for it. And so they create everything, with the lighting, with the costume, with the movement, whether they're facing front or side or back, or, they're light or they're really bound and heavy. Like they make all those intentional choices. And I think when they have to make those intentional choices, that is where we get dance, that movement that can create change. There's a difference in making a dance and like creating choreography that can create change. So I think that was the longest answer ever. I'm so sorry.
That was awesome.
I have a quick question. One more quick question for you. Okay, so the students, is there any way where adults can learn, if you didn't have the opportunity to learn about dance in high school or junior high, how could an adult maybe who's interested in it learn?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, Mary, because National Park just asked me to teach dance for adults.
Oh, wow.
So glad you asked. In my free time. So, yeah, I'm going to be teaching dance for adults, an adult dance class. Excellent. And that is going to be in May and a little bit of June, like on Saturdays for an hour. I did it last semester from like in September, October, I think. And it was mainly, I just kind of wanted to see whatever, whoever dancers showed up, we kind of made it to what they needed in that moment. If they needed to like lie on the floor and like, feel their pelvis melt into the ground, we started with that. And then, I tried to make that community with them. As far as like composition, like creating choreography, I didn't get to touch on that with them. So that would be interesting if there's like a want for that for adults. I would love that. That would be, in all of our free time. I would love that. But because I think I just had a dancer tell me the other day, she goes, and this is one of my first year dancers. She goes, Ms. B, I used to think that all your dances looked alike. And now that I'm in dance, I see how like specific you are about all your choices. So that's pretty cool. And I was like, all right, girl, thank you. And and like the other girls were, and the men in that class, they were like, oh, that was kind of mean. And I'm like, no, that's just, you don't know until you know. And it's just, that's so much, you can't be mad about ignorance. You just don't know, you have to, and that's why we're here to educate. So it was a great teaching moment because she was like real honest with me. And so, how teenagers are. So
I'm glad you asked that, Mary. That was actually a question someone had when they shared the video.
Oh. I think that is a whole other avenue of my life is to teach adults and maybe do some like trauma specific movement. There's a whole like world that's dance therapy. And it comes from wanting to heal through movement. And I think that's a really important piece that we could definitely all use more of. So, there's definitely movement out there that can help heal the body and the heart and the mind and the soul. And so I'm blessed that I get to lead students through that. And kind of it rejuvenates me. Because I know that when I don't get to dance, when I don't get to move, or when I just don't lay on the floor to breathe and feel the air travel through my body, that I am a cranky person. So it's good to know that about yourself.
Well, one more question. Anytime, arts making a statement or advocating for change or something powerful, there's bound to be some criticism or backlash. So have you had to deal with any of that?
Ooh, yes. But not as much as you would think. There was, there's, there was some concern, especially when when we first started student choreography, it was a little bit scary because, like I said, I expected them to dance about bullying and, their boyfriend breaking up with them and, body image issues. Like I was expecting that, and I got school shootings and immigration and women's rights and like all the serious stuff, police brutality. Like and I was so surprised by that. And so the district and we came up with a phrase that is the Hot Springs School District. These dances do not reflect the views of Hot Springs School District. And so we just make sure we say that and make sure that that's really clear before the student choreography show, that these are student voices, because the work that they're doing and the level of reflection and connection and creativity that's happening is very advanced. This is stuff that I did not do until college. And so it is very advanced, but it's also what gives us really great scores. Like in IB dance, my students they are way above the world average. Like they score way above. One of my several of my students have gone to our, governor's school, and they use this process for their application. And so it's so impressive to colleges, to universities, to, governor's school and things like that. And like the IB program, you can't, we want to protect our kids and protect them. We don't invite the elementary kids to the choreography show, because it's going to be heavy stuff. And we know that. So we try to have the appropriate audience for like the appropriate show. And we always say that these dances don't reflect the views of Hot Springs School District, that they are artistic, academic, and nonviolent works of art, that they are not meant to be offensive. And I really we go through feedback circles within the process. So it's not that I tell them, go create, and they create, and then I put it on a stage. Like there's several check-ins. We call it work the work, and they present their work in front of their peers, and we all take notes about what we see and what's being communicated. And there's like what's called the critical response process, and it's from Liz Lerman, and it's used through a bunch of different art disciplines, and it's just a objective way to talk about art. And so I think because we use that process and we go through that a couple times before they have a finished product, I think that kind of keeps it from being too, we don't encourage like miming anything. We want the dances to have strong motifs that are abstract and that make the audience really, that captivates the audience, that creates interest, and not just like miming things. And so I think that kind of helps that issue too. But yes, they are sensitive things, but we just try to really communicate that to the, to the audience, to the community. And so that's really clear, because what they are doing is very advanced work. So
yeah, incredible.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, to the audience, thank you very much for watching. If you're live or watching in the future, and be sure to share this so everyone else can enjoy this very informative, awesome program, and check out the great things going on over at Hot Springs with the dance troupe.
Yes, all of the arts. We're so blessed to have a community that appreciates art. So just thank y'all for inviting us. Thank you for letting me talk for so long about all of our arts programs, and especially dance. So thank you.
Yeah. Amy, is there anything else you'd like to say or share before?
I'll send a link. We got raffle tickets till February 22nd, so I'll send a link.
Awesome. And Mary, how about you?
Well, I just want to mention that we do have Arts in the Park. Please put that on your calendar. There's lots of student opportunities and professional artists, and to interact with professional artists for the students out there. And that is April 29th through May 8th. We do have some student art opportunities coming up as a part of that. And for information on that, you can go to hotspringsarts.org.
Sorry.
With my Sister City hat on, we have the Cherry Blossom Festival coming April 3rd, and we have a haiku competition, the first ever Arkansas Cherry Blossom Festival haiku competition. We have a youth division and an adult division, and there's prizes for it. Actually earn money for writing haiku, and so I encourage people to check that out. And also the Sister City Youth Art Competition, and that will those pieces of artwork will be on display at the Cherry Blossom Festival on April 3rd. So Arts in the Park, Cherry Blossom Festival, lots of great stuff coming up for students, for the adults, for the entire Hot Springs community.
We had a last minute comment from Susie, who wanted to thank you, Amy. And Susie says, I got on late. It's being recorded right. Yes, every one of these programs is recorded. If you're watching on Facebook, you'll be able to watch the recording immediately. Just go to the videos tab. And on YouTube, I noticed there's a slight delay, so it can take 2 or 3 hours, but that'll be on our YouTube channel as well. So thank you both. And this Gallery Walk Talk series is the first Wednesday of every month. So the next one will be March 2nd. Do we have a guest yet, Mary?
Nope, not yet. But everybody's doing a Gallery Walk Friday. It's a busy time of year. I'm sure we will have a phenomenal guest for our March Gallery Walk.
And then remind them to come to the choreography show on March 3rd.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the bar has been set high for the next thing.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you both very much, and take care.
All
Stay
right.
warm.
Good night.